I'm looking for the opportunity to truly, in great detail, define Section 25 and 35 and all the reasons why it was put in and what were the final results and why they accepted it as it was, okay? With our meanings. Because there wasn't a single government person that assisted us in choosing that wording. That was all of ours. And it was done specifically that way so that there's several meanings in 25 that they didn't even catch. Yeah. And one is that they cannot interpret Aboriginal treaty rights. Absolutely not. That's why 25 is like it is. But what it does is it just leaves it open. And the only ones that can interpret is those that have the treaties or the original rights of their original treaty makers or traditional people.
That's my
Yeah,
people.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I am. I've always been traditional, and everything I did in there was based on getting back to traditional authority, the way it was, which is actually the way it is now. It's just they don't understand that yet.
What I've heard is that they came in without a warrant on this last time. They said that they were just here to charge the employee, the manager, and when she opened the door to let them in, they came in and did the raid. They said it's Plainview, and yeah, so they didn't break in that way. We've instructed them to make sure they break in. So
Your way around that is your head office is in your nation's property, and your traditional way of doing business is also there, and that's the way you would do business is under your traditional flag. Long before, and this was in place long before the Caucasoid people got here.
they have refused to charge me to this point. They have not charged me with anything. They've said on the telephone, the last time I talked to them on the phone, I call them all the time and I say, what are you doing in my store now? You're robbing me again. I make sure they understand what they're doing. I put them on notice that this is a theft and that I will be laying charges. And today we're going to lay those charges. Yeah, and the product that they took this last time was about $100,000. So that's what's out of pocket for us. And there's no charge sheets for this last time. They just charged when they took everything, and there's no inventory list. Our lawyer that we've hired for the girl has said that the charges are going to be dropped when she goes into court on the 23rd. And at that time, this is going to move to the higher courts. This is going to the Superior Court on the 23rd. The application has been made. So they're going in front of last time they'll go in front of a provincial judge.
Oh, they're racist as hell. These lower court provincial judges. Yeah, and it's all same all over the place, you know. And we just dealt with one in Nova Scotia, where they actually were they had planned a kangaroo-style setup so that they didn't have to call witnesses, which we would cross-examine, and they were scared of that.
Well, I'm a Tyendinaga Mohawk, and we're the Mohawks that signed all of the 10 treaties that exist between the Mohawk Nation and the British Crown. Our treaties are the dish with one spoon, the two Row Wampum, and they existed at the time of their arrival.
Oh, yeah.
We sat in peace for 350 years on the Great Lakes watershed under the one dish, one spoon.
Yeah, okay, and we defeated the British, and we captured 9/11 forts. But that's what that caused a lot of problem because it forced them to introduce the Royal Proclamation, which was the arrangement they had with us. But the beauty of the Royal Proclamation is it doesn't create rights; it only recognizes them. So a very powerful instrument now. And then you've got another one there. You've got the Rowan Proclamation, which is closely related to the Royal because it was trying to fix some of the mess that the Royal Proclamation had created. Yet, because we were dealing with very racist colonial people at the time, and
So
they were always trying to.
I'm in the midst of
Control us,
it.
yeah.
69.8% of this country is white. So 69.8% of this country don't understand at all. And
Yeah.
I've never had the reason to look.
Yeah, well, the thing was they imposed this racism on us and confined us to these concentration camps
Yeah.
with no economy,
Yeah.
and for
And
the
they
longest
keep us
time,
there today.
our people had to depend on their handouts just to survive. So they couldn't fight back then, and now we're going to fight back
Oh, yeah.
with a ferocity that they are not going to forget.
So what I fight them with is under Aboriginal law, and it
Yep.
drives them nuts because I go in, right, I pledged my allegiance to the Constitution of the Haudenosaunee people
Yep.
in 1995.
Yep.
I pledged allegiance to
Yep.
follow the Constitution.
Yep.
And the Constitution is pretty much, simply put, is the two Row Wampum instructions.
Yep.
And the two Row Wampum instructions are in every single treaty. It's in the one dish with one spoon. Those are the rules of engagement. Those are the way we interact with each other under the two Row.
Yep.
But it's called a different treaty at that time.
Yeah.
Those are the rules that go into all of their treaties.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
part
No,
of the
no,
formula.
don't worry. I use it as well, so it's
Yeah.
it's universal anyway. It's all accepted under their
Yeah.
recognition of our rights,
Yeah.
and we haven't had a chance to use it properly.
2,100 Native people showed up at 1763 to 1764 at the Treaty of Niagara.
Yep.
2,100 chiefs
Yep.
signed
Yep.
the two Row Wampum.
Yeah, and the beauty of it was, as much as the British attempted to have them turn over their sovereignty to the British, none of them would. They maintained the total sovereignty, and that is one of the most important aspects of that 1764 treaty.
Yeah,
Is your sovereignty is intact
yeah.
because they needed us to fight the war and win it, which we did.
Well, it's under different sets of rules in different areas because it's under the two Row,
Yeah,
which allows for everybody their autonomy in their communities. You want to have that government there, you put that government there. You want to have that religion there, you put that in your own community. You keep it to yourself, type of thing. That's the two Row in action. So that's all it is. That's all we're asking for. It's the two Row. It's the instrument with which we invited them onto our soil, and it's the only instrument we've ever used with them. We've called it different names. We've called it the Silver Covenant Chain, but guess what the rules are? They're the rules of the two Row.
yeah.
We've called it the dish with one spoon, but guess what the rules are? They're the rules of the two Row. The two Row is the instrument of peace that's been passed to the world. It was passed in 1710 to the Russians at the first World Peace Festival. The Russian government accepted it from the Mohawk Nation. Peace, friendship, and love. That's the two Row. It talks about us living separate lives as different nations of people on the same waterway. And it doesn't talk about the land, it talks about the waterway that they're on with us, because they're people from the water. We are on the land, they are on the water. Make no mistake about that when the two Row, when we talk about it, it's them on the water, we're on the land. And we can go in the water, they can't come on the land without permission. That's the two Row. They're guests here. And that's the Silver Covenant Chain is the three links that they got to put in their pocket to prove that they were guests. When they were stopped in the bush by hostile Indians, they could show those three links and say, hey, we're with you.
Yep.
And that's those three links. You know, there's me, that's you, and that's the land, that's you. That's it. That's our link. Put them back in my pocket because I'm safe now. That's my safe passage from Thunder Bay to New York City. That was that area in between, that great Between the Lakes Treaty. Treaty 3, the Between the Lakes Treaty. And that's a 1 million acre purchase of land from the Mississaugas to award pieces of it, 500,000 acres of it, to the Haudenosaunee people for their losses that they were inflicted in New York. You know, and then there's 92,600 acres here in Tyendinaga that is part of that Haldeman as well. It's the same agreement, Treaty 3.5.
Yeah, I don't think there is going to be any issue between the various nations like ourselves, yourselves, because we actually always had that right to an economy any place in Turtle Island, and that's the way it's always been.
Yeah.
We had our business people, we had trading, we trade routes,
And we have the right to an economy off the land, and that's what the
That's
two
right.
row guarantees us, is the right to an economy off the land.
yeah, that's sort of the theme I've taken on right now is we have the right to the economy.
And
But these are all the reasons, so.
And they have the right to ask permission to take things from the land. And
Yep.
we have to grant that permission
Yep.
under the two row.
Yep.
And that they're not doing.
Yeah.
That they're breaking the law. They're
Okay,
lawbreakers
that's-
all the time.
That's recognized by the Royal Proclamation, so.
Yeah. Well, it's had a positive impact on the Native communities that have not put in the Government of Canada programs. I don't know about those Government of Canada programs, people. I think they're suffering. I think their stores are shutting down, actually, on the territory.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but our stores seem to thrive, our,
Yeah.
our
Oh.
independent stores.
They're fantastic.
thrive.
Yeah.
And they do well. They can support families. And we try to employ Native peoples in them, you know? And,
Yeah.
and
But you have the right to employ anybody.
we have the right to employ the Spanish
Yeah.
queen if we
Yeah.
want her to work here.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't have the right to anything from, they don't have the right, no more right do they have than they have to go to Spain right now and tell them, you need to change this law to suit us.
Yeah.
Or go to Italy and say, you need to change this law to suit us. Because guess what? We're not changing our laws to suit you. This is
No.
the law that you came with. Show me the one where we gave up our sovereign in favor of you governing us,
Yeah.
and I will cede.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
not, cede, then
Yeah.
you cede.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
it. It's that simple. You're in my seat.
Yeah, exactly.
I told a judge that. She
Yeah.
told me I was in contempt of court. I said, no, you're the one that's in contempt of court. I'm trying to tell you, you're not listening.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm getting away with a lot of very important statements, a lot of very important corrections for the judges and the
Yeah.
legal. They're legal people,
Yeah.
and they are just ignorant of the historical development of all this and the understanding of it. So that's the problem we face today. Is
So-
now we're going to bring them around to understand it.
They don't understand shared stewardship. We have shared stewardship here with many nations.
Oh, yeah,
In
yeah.
Ontario.
Yeah.
And the treaty between the lakes, it talks of the independence of the nations. It keeps the sovereignty in play of
Yeah.
all the different native nations. And it
Yeah.
says the groups, it groups them down, the Haudenosaunee, the Cree, the whatever, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Breaks them all up into like 40 different groups and puts them
Yes.
into a
Yeah.
category.
Well, they're all in our language group, so they all speak the same language as us.
Right? They do the Canadian government thing to it,
Yeah.
and mess it all up and rip
Yeah.
it here and put it there and put it there, and then try and put it back together to suit themselves, and
Yeah.
it's not in the right order.
Yeah.
All the king's horses and all the king's men
Yeah.
don't put Humpty together again. You know, that's what the Canadian government does with any
Yeah.
law.
Yeah.
They call it regulations. So we have to always get on things before they regulate them.
Yeah.
And right now the UNDRIP is unregulated.
Yeah.
And the UNDRIP calls for permission. It says that we have to grant permission to them. It's not consult, it's consent.
Yeah, okay.
That word, they keep throwing into everything that word consult.
Yeah.
The word is consent.
Yeah.
That's what the law says. The word is consent in Canadian law, under the UNDRIP. That's the law. It does not consult.
Yeah.
Consult is not the word. Stop using
yeah.
the wrong words.
Yeah.
Because if they do that for 2 generations, they use the wrong words for 2 generations, it will become the right words.
Yeah, they've been using consulting to justify a lot of their theft of everything, and
Right.
their control of the the mines and well, actually we're very in a similar position to the Palestinians, and actually they're controlled by a different version of Canada's Indian Act. Canada's Indian Act has been used 38 different countries, and to control brown-skinned people like
That's
us.
right. That's right.
And while the pallid-skinned people, they follow the doctrine of discovery, which is a bunch of total nonsense, Christian nonsense, and I can't describe it any. My description of it is just. I have to swear when they mention
Go
that
ahead,
doctrine
give her.
of discovery.
It's an English word. We can correct it.
Yeah. Now we got to correct all their
They're
racial
nouns.
nonsense.
It's all nouns.
Yeah. Those treaties are solid because it was done with a sovereign that had absolute sovereignty with us. We had absolute sovereignty.
Yeah.
So those kinds of arguments are a bunch of nonsense that they use. And now I'm asking them, you show me your connection to the king. What kind of connection have you had? Or are you just an immigrant that fled some disastrous situation in his own country, usually for religious reasons? You've fled. Do you have a relationship to the king? If you don't, then you have absolutely no rights to even discuss.
We have a
rights with us.
relationship with the king called brother to brother. That's what it's called. Eye to eye.
Yeah.
Sovereign to sovereign.
Yep.
That's what the relationship is with the king. If he chooses to accept his path of his ancestors.
Well, he's actually accepted it by doing the treaties and the arrangements with our nations here.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolute acceptance. The problem really came in when they created the Racist BNA Act. That's subject of my next book.
Yeah.
I'm going after that because they weren't even a country. They were a goddamn colony of Britain till
dominion.
1982.
Yeah.
Just a colony. Colonies can't write racial laws against another nation. I did my book in such a way that it will help everybody's arguments, whatever area they go into or whatever aspect they go into about our rights. And
Exactly. We're teaching people about their rights under treaties.
Yep.
And to stop letting them bully us around and unilaterally changing wording in the treaties to suit them.
yeah,
All the original documents, that's it. That's all we go with, original documents, because we've signed nothing since.
yeah,
And that's the last signature we have as a compatible nation-to-nation agreement with you.
yep,
Nothing past that.
yeah. Same with us.
Yeah.
Same with us. And the racist stuff is all imposed because they had the numbers on us, and they had us so separated that we couldn't get together to put up the kind of fight we should have.
And then they put into the band office, and they give the band office certain powers that come from the Sky Daddy in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
You know? I don't know where they come
Somebody's
from.
imagination. That's
Right?
where it come from.
But a band office, their perimeters are the band community, the reserve. The perimeters of that community, that's where their authority ends. And their authority is only administrative.
Yeah, it's narrower than that because they are a federal corporation. This is their real title.
They are the government of Canada in our community.
Exactly. They are the federal government.
Yeah.
And as such, they are not an Indian.
Oh, I know. They
And-
get
and,
enfranchised.
They've got they have a trust responsibility imposed on them from their bosses, the Indian Affairs Minister.
I know.
But that's all they've got.